Hello, I'm Gil Zilkha. Welcome to my channel, Essential Classical Music, where we look at the best recordings of the standard classical music repertoire. This video is taken out of my larger video on the great conductors and their best recordings. I hope you enjoy it. Let's speak now about Englishman Sir John Barbirolli. Grand old John, or what was he known as? A glorious John. And with Barbirolli, the first word that comes to mind is warmth, especially the string sound that he got. He just loved to milk it. He was a very emotive conductor, very kind of hard on the sleeve, you might say. And in that way, he fit the composer who's probably his favorite, or at least the one he's most associated with. He fit him like a glove, and that's Mahler. He recorded most of the Mahler symphonies. Some of them we only have live interpretations. We are fortunate enough now to have this box from Warner collecting the EMI recordings together. And this is the one that makes the obvious choice if you're wanting to investigate Barbirolli. And in particular, his iconic versions of the Fifth Symphony, the Sixth, and the Ninth. The Ninth he did a little earlier with the Berlin Philharmonic. These are all recorded in the 60s with very good sound quality and depth to the orchestral sound. Like I said, he was a very emotive conductor, and he brings out those elements of these works. The Sixth Symphony, it's a little controversial because the tempo is a little bit slow. You could say the same thing at the finale, about the finale of the Fifth Symphony, incidentally. But it's so powerful. To me, when I'm just listening at home and it's coming out my speakers, I'm just blown away by it. I know that for some people, exciting has to mean fast. For me, it's not always that way. And with Barbirolli, it's just thundering at the tempo that he picks. And then just the whole thing is really an overwhelming experience. The Fifth Symphony, too, is powerful and gorgeous. Of course, you want to have a beautiful adagietto, and he really does that very eloquently. And then the Ninth Symphony, which for me is... I put it up there with the Beethoven Ninth and the Bruckner Eighth as my sort of holy trinity of symphonies, just epic works that I never get tired of, and I never get tired of trying different versions of. And his is right at the top of the heap. I know they said that the Berlin Philharmonic was not as familiar with Mahler at the time they recorded it. I don't know, for me, I don't hear anything out of the ordinary in terms of execution or them sounding tentative with the work. What I hear is them following along with Barbirolli and just really putting it out there emotionally. Especially his interpretation of the final adagio is just impeccable. That beautiful coda that goes into silence at the end. It's just unmissable. So, as you can tell, I'm a big fan of Barbirolli's Mahler. Get this box. Now, he was an Englishman and he loved string music, so what are the British composers known for? Barbirolli was arguably the best of them at interpreting the British composers. Starting with, we have Elgar, of course, late 19th century, and then slightly younger Vaughan Williams. The first recording I want to mention is this one from Elgar of the iconic Enigma variations. Glorious John brings that wonderful warmth, wonderful nuance, wonderful character and color to it. Nimrod, of course, is probably the most famous movement, very eloquently and powerfully done with that beautiful warm sound. This incidentally, so this is his Halle Orchestra. That's the orchestra that he sort of cultivated from the early 50s. They're sometimes denigrated in some circles as not being a top flight outfit. To me, again, I care more about interpretation than I do about perfect orchestral execution. They sound just fine to my ears, and they obviously knew Barbirolli very well. And this particular recording, this dates from 1956. He did have a later one in the early 60s, which is also very good. I just think this one has that extra bit of energy and inspiration. Now, let's talk about Vaughan Williams and this recording of the London Symphony. The date is from the late 50s, so it's a fairly good mono sounding recording. And this is one of those Dutton issues, so it's particularly good sounding. You can also get it from EMI. And this is just an impeccable interpretation of this work. Arguably Vaughan Williams' greatest symphony, sort of a pictorial depiction of London, a very colorful work. And Barbirolli just brings out all the charm of the orchestral writing, and it's just a really, to me, it's one of the great symphony recordings out there. Just the way it's executed and interpreted, it's just really wonderful. And then finally, for those two British composers, Elgar and Vaughan Williams, you have to mention, of course, Barbirolli's one of his most famous recordings, the one of English string music that combines the fantasias of Vaughan Williams, Fantasia on a theme of Thomas Tallis, and also the one based on Greensleeves, and with the Elgar string works, Introduction and Allegro for Strings, the Serenade, the beautiful, beautiful Elegy and Sospiri, and this recording, it's not only beautifully played and beautifully interpreted, but the depth of the sound is really wonderful. That deep, beautiful string sound. It's really an iconic recording. And again, another one of those alignment of stars between orchestra and conductor and composer and recording engineer that really is a gift to all us classical music listeners. Another recording I want to mention for Barbirolli, and maybe a composer you may not think of first when you think of him, and that's this one of the Dvořák Eighth. This one also is with the Halle Orchestra, again from that late 50s period, in fairly good sounding stereo. And this is another case where that Barbirolli charm comes out. It's such a charming, colorful, tuneful work. It's one of my favorite symphonies. And this one, just everything sounds right. It's got that humanity to it, that it's never sounds stiff or stale in any way. And it just really brings out the charm of the work. And then finally, for Barbirolli, I have to say, I was saying about George Szell, he definitely gets the prize, Szell does, of greatest accompanist on record, certainly in terms of volume. But Barbirolli, he had quite a few too, and especially early in his career. This one happens to be a live recording. And this is of the Rachmaninoff Third Piano Concerto. I believe it was at Carnegie Hall, and it is with the New York Philharmonic in the early 40s. Unfortunately, dreadfully recorded. It's even people who tolerate historical recordings may not be able to tolerate this. However, I'm going to tell you right now, this is, to my mind, the most exciting concerto recording that exists. Or at least, let me put it this way, the most exciting recorded performance of a concerto, because it is rather dim, but they are on fire. Horowitz is on fire, and Barbirolli just really brings it. The spontaneity, the way he paces things, the coda of the finale is just has to be heard to be believed, and you hear a guy yell "Bravo!" at the end, and the crowd goes wild, as they should. It's just really an electric recording, despite the dim sound quality. Thanks for watching. I want to wish you all a great day and happy listening.